Pinehurst is often called America's home of golf. The town, hotel, village, and shops all permeate the spirit and history of the game, and each road and shady lane seems to lead to another course. It's as if a quaint piece of New England were dropped in the Carolina sandhills and bathed in the refinement of the old links. Pinehurst is Mayberry meets St. Andrews, mannered and manicured, the genteel embodiment of golf's rich tradition. But not Pinehurst No. 10. Compared to the rest of Pinehurst, the No. 10 course is a needle screeching across a vinyl record. If Pinehurst is jazz, No. 10 is punk rock. Opened in 2024, it's built on a rugged and undeveloped 900-acre parcel south of the resort, with sections that were once part of a mining operation. The raw ingredients of sand, pines, and wild grasses are the same as elsewhere at Pinehurst, but the intensity and enormity of the property is more Jurassic in scope. Architect Tom Doak's massive fairways barrel through the broken backcountry, roaming, twisting, and switching back toward vast greens full of ramps, ridges, and swales. This is fresh territory for Pinehurst, figuratively and physically, a brave new course that opens a frontier for the resort, a signal perhaps of bold things to come. This is Every Hole at Pinehurst No. 10. Architects use first holes as menus to show you the ingredients they'll be cooking with throughout the design. Doak does just that at this par 4 that travels over relatively benign ground. A field of exposed sand and wiregrass flanks the fairway that rises toward a gentle crown, disguising what's beyond. The theme of using the land's contours to obscure fairways will occur repeatedly and make the course play longer than the scorecard yardage. The wide, shallow putting surface also foreshadows some exuberant green shapes as it tumbles down left to right in stages. Architects also use par 3 holes to get in and out of tight corners and to connect separated high points of land. Both are the case at the second that plays across a gully toward a point that falls away on the right. 2 sets of tees are spaced 100 yards apart, changing the angle and making for entirely different holes. From the right, the shot is longer and must contend with a deep front bunker that protects half the green. From the left, the angle is straight in and open to a running shot, with a ridge in the putting surface that propels balls towards center and right hole locations. The first 3 holes are like a test run as they make a lap around the course's gentlest terrain and return to the clubhouse. The fairway of the sneakily long par 5 third is once again slightly uphill and blind, benched over a long, curling chasm of sandy scrapes. It's best to keep to the right on the second shot for a clean look at the green cocked at an angle behind a pocket of flashed waste bunkers. But as the fairway tightens the farther you advance it, you need to pick your shot carefully. The large, low putting surface has a thumbprint depression on the left, but overall is calm. And as you walk off it, the course seems to say, now that you've warmed up, you're ready for the real No. 10. The fourth hole, a short par 4, kicks things off with something rarely seen at other Pinehurst courses, a bunker right in the middle of the fairway. It sets up a decision to either try to slide a driver past it and risk finding the bunkers left or just beyond, or lay back to the right and hit a spinning wedge across the shallow angle of a green that's much bigger than you would normally see on a drivable par 4. It was originally intended to be quite small, but it grew as Doak kept expanding it and adding a rear plateau, and now it's one of No. 10's largest. Even though the fifth, another short par 4, presents an enormous amount of room to drive the ball, you have to come into the green from the right. Approach shots from the left below the fairway bunker have almost no chance of holding the green, as they come over a mound that kicks balls across the narrow putting surface. Shots coming in from the right, however, can play into the deep axis of the green and be better positioned to get near hole locations on either side of an interesting central spine that divides the green into left and right sections. The par 4 sixth continues toward the western flank of the property and enters No. 10's most exotic topography. An inverted grassy bunker rises from the center of the fairway, and anything played from the left of it will likely be blocked out by pines. If you can sling the tee shot past the mound on the gambler's line, you'll be rewarded with one of the most thrilling second shots on the course, into a bowl-like amphitheater set on the far side of a sandy wash. Balls that land within the shoulder cushions will filter toward flags, and those that don't will be left with runaway recovery shots requiring extreme skill and touch. Switching back the opposite direction, the par 3 seventh crosses the same sandy wash that divides the 6th hole, moving slightly downhill off a platform of tees to a large inviting green corralled by 3 bunkers. Small surface ridges and grades can help hold shots in the different compartments of the green, and at no more than 150 yards, this is an opportunity to make a 2 or 3. It's also a chance for the architect to paint a lovely picture while moving the action onto the doorstep of one of the strangest and most unique holes you will ever see. If number 10's sloping, sandy, creviced land seems destined for golf, it was. Before Pinehurst acquired it, another course called the Pit, closed in 2010, covered part of the property. While that course was popular, fun, and quirky, Tom Doak understood the site had more to offer. His routing overlaps only a portion of the extinct holes, and he instead moved the game into previously unexplored regions, peeling back the pines to reveal more sweeping elevations. All the romantic brushstrokes of sand, wiregrass, and contour recognizable at Pinehurst courses like number 2, 4, and 8 are here, but they're presented more abstractly and in a grander, frameless format. The 8th plunges into the heart of the defunct sand mining quarries. A steep pile of sand stands directly in front of the tee, blocking the swell of hills, valleys, and mounds behind it. Old mining spoils tower along the sides, long ago having sprouted pines and bushes. The trick is to keep the green in sight by driving into the bubbling channel on the right, but it's easy to get lost on the other side of the central ridge and end up with a blind approach to a cratered putting surface cut into a dune pocket. Once you putt out, if you haven't had to pick up, take a long look back on one of the most fantastical 385 yards in golf. From here, the routing breaks out into a broad outback section where the 9th begins a stretch of 4 majestic monsters over the next 5 holes. The drive on this massive par 4 is over a marsh into a side-sloping fairway that needs to steer clear of the centerline bunker that will extract at least a half a shot. The shortgrass area around the green is low and inviting and highlights number 10's strategic duality. The course demands powerful driving on correct lines, but switches gears around the greens into a mode of creativity, leaving it up to the golfer to determine the best way to get the ball in the hole. The best view on the course is from the 10th tee, a stunning vantage point for this prodigious 630-yard par 5 that rambles up and down and over rolling shoulders of land. Strategically, it recalls the par 5 12th at Oakmont, with a fairway that's banked sharply from left to right. The trick is to tack to the high side of the fairway, toward the bunkers, while the pitch of the land fights it, forcing you down toward the trouble on the low side. But the best angle into the wavy green is from the left to avoid playing across the bunker and steeply shaped right edge. It's better to err left, toward the much softer chipping hollow. The par 3 11th breaks up the string of powerhouse holes that come immediately before and after, but it's no reprieve. The tee shot plays just enough uphill that only the flag is visible, but there's plenty of fairway in front to chase a low right-to-left shot into the deep green. A deep channel bunker sits low to the left, bracketed by another cut into the mound high right, so the safe play here is at the front of the green, or even short. The putting surface is nuanced, with the low left pocket offset by ridges and a higher back right plateau that will lead to tricky cross-green putts. The tee shot at the short par 5 12th stretches up and over a field of sand and wild grasses to a cresting fairway that hides what's on the other side. Strong drives over the right edge of the hazard crack open an upper deck view of the rest of the hole that crosses another hell's half-acre sandscape and drops to a lower arena of fairway 50 to 60 yards across. Here you get something you almost never see on a reachable par 5, a virtually undefended green set in a bowl surrounded by nothing but grass. If you can get your drive in play, it's the closest thing in golf you're ever going to get to a free shot. A complex array of tiers and swales in the putting surface make getting the ball close to the hole an exercise in artistry, but the 12th should be a green light for everyone. You'll need the stroke you pick up on 12 because 13 is probably going to take it back. Once more, you have an up and over drive on this 500-yard par 4 toward a crest line that gives no indication of what's ahead and hides a cross bunker that angles into the broad fairway that will cause issues if out of position. The second half of the hole rides a ridge toward an elegant horizon green, the highest on property, and approaches coming in with longer clubs should favor the higher, safer right side. The putting surface is reminiscent of the 14th at Augusta National, but cocked right at a 45-degree angle, gliding from low left toward a delicate back right crow's nest shelf. In certain conditions when the tees are back, the par 3 14th plays more like a short par 4, and you may need driver or a strong metal club to get close. It circles back toward the same quarry section as the 8th hole, and plays to a green that's benched into the foot of a large naturalized mining spoil. Mounds added to the front left of the green mimic the old dune to the right, bracketing a wild putting surface that Doak personally shaped. It's a 3-level green that collects shots in some places and repels them in others, so hole locations will feel reasonable some days, but less so on others. From the tee, the par 4 15th looks like the odd one out at Pinehurst No. 10, playing diagonally across a lake banked by a repetitive series of moguls. But this is a classic risk-reward hole, where you bite off as much of the water as you dare with your drive, with benefits going to those who hug the shoreline to leave a shorter shot into the left-to-right tilt of the green. The putting surface is another multi-dimensional sculpture, with a tilted half-pipe section in front and strong ridges running violently off the high left shoulder toward deep-set bunkers on the right. Second shot placement here is everything. Pinehurst No. 10 favors players who draw the ball if they're right-handed. The long 16th is another right-to-left ridge walker, with the tee shot rising toward a subtly crowned fairway that falls to the left in the same direction the hole bends. Playing from the higher right side gives players a straight-in view of the deep zero-entry green with an accessible bold hole location front left. The conservative miss here is short since the putting surface narrows as it rises toward a point at the rear that falls away in 3 directions. Tom Doak's lead associate who oversaw the construction of Pinehurst No. 10 was Angela Moser, and the 17th green was her inspired creation. Playing across a finger of lake, it would be at home at Tobacco Road or any other Mike Strantz course, with levels and layers floating down surrealistically off a back embankment. The action doesn't begin until balls land and begin feeding off the slopes and backstops, and there's an especially tantalizing front right hole location that dips down between the 2 bunkers. It's a dizzying standout green that will leave you with dizzying putts if you're not in the same quadrant as the hole. The tee shot at the par 4 18th looks like something from Pine Valley rather than Pinehurst, going up and over an ominous-looking chasm of sand, though it's easily clearable for most players. Similar to 16, drive should be played up the right to avoid the low sand barrens on the left. Sharing ground with the first hole on the course's mildest terrain, this is a soft re-entry as the fairway moves easily toward a high point green situated to the right of an attractive sandscape. There are no bunkers impeding your route onto the putting surface, offering one last chance to demonstrate your short game acuity in getting up and down. In the last 15 years, Pinehurst has reinvented itself with the addition of several courses and remodels of numbers 3, 4, and 8, as well as the legendary number 2 course, all while hosting 3 US Opens. But the number 10 course gives it what it previously didn't have, a new and natural-looking course on a vast piece of land capable of producing extreme variety. Yet at its heart, it remains fundamentally faithful to the equation that has always made Pinehurst great: generous fairways that reward confident driving, and greens that demand touch and creativity. Whatever number 10 extracts off the tee, it's going to give you a chance to make up at the green, if you've got the right shots.